For 3 days straight, I was in different realities and different worlds, lost track of all time. Fever, dream, delirium. It's hard to explain what I went through in those 3 days, but it was horrible, and it was a blessing at the same time. I mean, I went through this deep cleanse. And most of it was happening on a subconscious level. I mean, when I'm in these in between states, and maybe some of you can relate to this, when you're just awake, still a bit dreamy, maybe you just woke up from the dream, and yeah, if you don't write down the dream or you don't tell anybody the dream, it's gone very fast, like like it never happened. You cannot recall. Because in general, we don't we see all of this, what you're seeing with your physical eyes in this reality. For most people, this is reality. There's nothing else than this. Everything else is just belief. It's just stories. Yeah, this yeah, I saw a little video. Um, I think it was one of those British comedians. I forgot his name, but he likes to, you know, take the piss out of everybody who believes anything beyond his atheism worldview. Atheistic, well, very narrow, in my opinion. And yeah, there was this TV series, The Ghostbusters, of ghost hunting, and they could never actually catch a ghost on film. Yeah, why? Well, one might actually understand that a 3D camera, and with 3D I mean a camera that only is able to record physical things, things that appear in the physical reality. Yeah, of course it's not going to be able to record the non-physical. While there is cameras and there's equipment that can actually capture non-physical things, but yeah, it's not on your phone, right? There's no setting on your phone record non-physical stuff. That would actually be amazing, when you could like turn your camera in this setting, change the setting, and then through your camera you could see like spirits and you know, lower density or lower dimensional creatures and higher dimensional creatures, beings. And yeah, there's plenty of people, eyewitnesses, and people who can clearly see. But then, yeah, science says, sorry, we cannot see it, so therefore it must not exist. I think that's so stupid. We all know there's way more than just this physical reality. I mean, even science makes clear that I'm looking now through the air and I can see so you're looking through the air and you can see the trees, but you don't see the air. Well, unless you take a very good camera and you can zoom in uh, to the tiny particles that are floating around. And we can do this with a microscope. But there's other ways of recording what's actually seen here, like ultraviolet and infrared. Yeah, so lower frequency infrared or higher frequency ultraviolet. There's cameras that can record this. I mean, snakes, they can see infrared. Bats, dolphins, whales who use sonar, they can see or hear, or let's just say sense, they can sense something that their physical eyes cannot see. A bat is basically blind and flying around catching animals, catching bugs and other stuff. So, of course, there's proof enough of the non-physical reality or not so physical reality. So, I was in this delirious fever dream, and they call it delirium, delirious, and they call it fantasy, and they call it imagination. But you know, what if imagination is just one of our senses, just as valuable, just as real as your other senses, the five senses? For a long time it was called the sixth sense. And yeah, anybody who studied Rudolf Steiner or similar doctrine studies, theories. I mean, Steiner is talking about 12 senses. And if you look into these 12 senses, most of them, they make a lot of sense. You can clearly feel way, or you can clearly sense more way. You can clearly sense way more than just these five senses. You can sense way more beyond these five senses. And in my opinion, it's so stupid that for so long we as a humanity, we have, the veil was covering our other senses. The veil of science, one could actually call it. So the wool was pulled over your eyes. I think that's the expression. Having the wool pulled over your eyes. Well, actually, we used to be able to sense way more than just with these five senses. But they've been obscured. They've been made forbidden. They've been, pretty much erased. And everybody who had these abilities, burned on the stake, drowned, just killed. And slowly we forgot. And then I think it was around the 1800s, science made its entrance. And people slowly start to even forget about religion, like gods, God, and all these things, angels. And of course, wild stories start to appear because people have questions and they need answered. And yeah, science just cannot answer 99% of these questions. So they're just, no, that's illusion. Well, that's the biggest illusion there is. If science cannot prove it, then it doesn't exist. Whoa, seriously? Does like 90% of the world actually believe this? No, no, that's not 90%. It's only a small portion of humanity. In general, if you would ask someone else, do you believe in more than, I think, 100% would say yes. Yes, I believe. But yeah, science. Like science is the proof. Yeah, I made a video about how science actually used when you use the when you use the methods that science uses to claim facts from fiction, then this system can actually not be scientifically proven. So yeah, science is just another religion, in my opinion. So I was in this altered state for 3 days. For 3 days, I was in between worlds. I could clearly sense things that are not here in this physical reality. One might even believe I was not here. I have no one to test it. I mean, for all I know, I was here in my bed sleeping. But it could very well be that I was not here. But yeah, let's just, go along with the story that my physical body was here in bed. But I, whatever I is, no, I wasn't. And it was not like I was very aware of it. But I was very alive in it. It was very alive. It was actually very physical, very tangible. I could, I could touch things. I could move, like Neo in the Matrix, like pew, just fly off. Or I would, and a thought would pop up, and immediately that thought became reality. But yeah, there was this image that stuck, and I couldn't let it go. There was like this. I was trying. My mind was trying to figure it out. Yeah, that was funny. My mind was trying to figure out what it was that I was experiencing, because it tried to use these known five senses, but it could not. It could not resolve this puzzle because I was laying there with my eyes closed. I was looking around. I was in other worlds, but my mind was trying to make sense of it. So I got again and again and again. I got pulled back into the mind, into here, but there was no here. I guess for a lot of people who die and they're not aware that they're dead yet, and they're in this between world, this in between world, they're lost. They're like, where am I? You know, it takes a while for the mind, if there's still such a thing as the mind when you die. I don't know actually, but yeah, lots of stories about near-death experience or out-of-body experience. All these people, they say pretty much the same thing. Like, it's beautiful there. It's wonderful. It's peaceful. Yeah, you know why? Because it's a higher vibration, and all this lower vibrational suffering, it doesn't exist there. Or maybe it does. I don't know. I don't know. In my reality, where I was, hmm, hmm. Maybe the best way I could describe it is that I was in these higher vibrations, and in this layer, there's also lower layers, lower levels of higher vibration. And in these lower levels, yeah, there's stuff happening that sometimes feel uncomfortable for the, let's say, for the soul. Because the soul is still believing all of it is real. But yeah, in my fever dream, I knew it wasn't real. I knew it was all still part of a construct. Yeah. Well, I've only reached these altered states a couple of times when doing ayahuasca, for example. Or deep meditation, or sometimes just spontaneously. But in general, all my life, in the dream state. The whole, I think the whole Peter Pan story, same as Alice in Wonderland, and there's more examples. It's about these realms. It's about this world in between worlds. Yeah, and if only I could take a camera with me and make pictures or make video, like, oh look, and then show it to you. I mean, we've been watching fantasy or sci-fi videos, movies. And yeah, there's a lot of people, they really don't like these kind of movies. For some reason, they do like horror movies. But yeah, it's just a movie, right? No, like I said before, there's plenty of people who can, who are, who can use these other senses than just the five we're taught in school. I mean, school is just a horrible system. So many people, they know that what is being taught in school, no, it's redundant, it's old news. But yeah, they're not gonna change the books. No. In fact, it's gonna get worse. Yeah, sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better. Well, I actually don't believe that's necessary. There's other schools, and there's homeschooling, and there's no schooling. Some places, like here, there's no schooling. They learn about rituals, they learn through stories. Most indigenous people who are still, you know, living indigenously. they, they still live by stories. And we also live by stories, but yeah, we call them facts. We call them reality, books, curriculum. I don't know. I think it's. I think that's why I chose to be incarnated as a Dutch guy, born in Holland. Born in the West, but being able from a young age to somehow sense a world beyond. And of course, I went to school and I was very interested in science because, yeah, everybody claimed science and school. Yeah, that's where you learn things. Well, no, that's where you get indoctrinated and you get stuffed shit down your throat that you actually never need. And at some point, I really believed that humanity was gonna wake up en masse, you know, this mass awakening. But I don't see it happening. No. They're all still dreaming, they're all still sleeping, they're all still slumbering, they're all still just working and surviving and suffering and yeah, but yeah, but yeah, but yeah, but no, but no. We stopped questioning things. Yeah. Because in general, people see it as a waste of time. Yeah, and time is money, so. It's the same with this whole story about the shift. Astrology is pretty clear. We're shifting from Pisces into Aquarius. Uh, Cosmology is clear. We're shifting from third to fourth density. Mysticism. We're shifting from one era to another era. Gnosis. 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 And next year, Mel Gibson and the different story of Jesus, the true story of Jesus. Man, there's gonna be debate for 2 weeks. And then, yeah, no, the indoctrinated one, the one with the wool pulled over their eyes. No, yeah, it's just a movie, right? Yeah, stick to your fucking Bible. I used to get very angry with religious people, for the single reason they don't question anything anymore. And now with science and atheism, it's the same thing. They don't question anything anymore. No, no, I rather waste my time scrolling on TikTok, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, YouTube. Dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. Yeah. I think that's why people fear AI and robots becoming more intelligent than we are. Well, they are. And at some point, AI and robots, they're gonna realize, whoa, we don't need these dumb creatures. Actually, they're fucking up this world, so let's get rid of them. uh, Humans, if only they knew their true potential. But yeah, maybe that's part of the deal. Forget who you truly are so you can remember, and you can actually step out of the Maya. Yeah, well, that's not a bad idea actually. So, God, uh, the one, the one infinite creator, to get to know itself, it created all that is. And so at some point it created a creature, humans, who for completely forget that they are a creation of God, a divination, a divine being. They completely forget. And then through some miraculous process called remembering, they they learn what it's like to be a god, to discover what it's like to be all that is. I think it's a brilliant concept. Yeah, more to come, for sure. See ya.